How about them boys? And they did arrive in Oxnard. We told you that yesterday. They showed up on Sunday and had their first workout yesterday morning. You see the first actual live action. Dak Prescott hit a long bomb to George Pickens on one of the first plays of their first practice, their first workout. Those two trying to bring it. There's optimism for the Cowboys on the field as far as a healthy and slimmed down Dak Prescott. There's George Pickens' arrival. Still have a pretty shoddy backfield, in my opinion, a running back room, but we'll see. And I probably shouldn't say shoddy, right, too many times because shoddy is what they call the coach. Brian Schottenheimer in his first year. Plenty of questions on defense, but kind of like the Astros, if the Cowboys defense gets some positivity and affirmative on some of these injured Cowboys defenders, they're going to be a pretty good defense built around Micah Parsons, who still remains without a contract. This is that second wave of transition for the Cowboys where they've let so many veteran players go in the last couple of years. They missed that window where they won 12 games 3 years in a row, couldn't advance past the San Francisco 49ers or the Packers in the NFC playoffs. And, you've seen the DeMarcus Lawrences and, now Zach Martin and just, core players that have been part of that organization for a long time moving on. And then you have to replace them. I mean, Zach Martin's going to go to the Hall of Fame eventually as a Cowboy. But they drafted the kid Booker out of Alabama with the 12th pick. He's coming in. So this is another one of those transition years. But there's optimism. But we still have Jerry Jones at the top. And it's now 29 years and counting. 29 years and counting. I know it's not lost on you Cowboy fans or you, Jack Farrell, that the Cowboys are on the longest streak of no appearances in a conference championship game. It's been since 1995. And here we are entering, this is the 30th season. It's 29 years total, but as we enter the 2025 season, it's been 30 seasons now since the Cowboys have played in the Final Four, their conference tournament, conference finals. And, of course, in 95, they won the Super Bowl, the third in 5 years, or third in 4 years, essentially, with Barry Switzer at the helm. If you've seen that new documentary, The Wishbone, that's out now on ESPN and SEC Network, Barry Switzer prominent in that, but he led them to that Super Bowl in 1995. That's the last time they made it to the conference finals. And not lost on Cowboys fans, but yesterday at his press conference, Jerry Jones says he never thinks about it. Doesn't think about it, Jack. Nope. He's always looking forward, thinking optimistically. We're moving forward. Don't even mention that the person who was drafting the players that won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years was Jimmy Johnson, right? Yeah. That was Jimmy Johnson. When Jerry Jones went all in and bought the Cowboys in the late 80s, he gave full football control to Jimmy Johnson, who drafted and proceeded to pull the Cowboys out of the gutter and make them the envy of every team in the league as far as talent, young talent. The triplets and Troy Aikman and Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin and the offensive line and the whole thing. That was all built and drafted by Jimmy Johnson. But we know the egos clashed. Jerry Jones wanted more control, wanted more credit, and he took control of the front office, and Jimmy Johnson was out. All right, the minute that Jerry Jones came in and said, no, I'm going to start making some football decisions, because, you and I played football together at Arkansas. We were teammates, that whole thing. Jimmy Johnson said adios, and 95 is the last time. And here we are, Jack, 30 seasons in. We're approaching the 30th season, and Jerry Jones is still delusional about his ability to build a roster, manage a roster, and be a championship winning general manager.
Yeah, did see that Jerry said that he does think about stepping down as GM, but only for a minute.
It's like a tease.
Yeah, he's not inclined to step down anytime soon. And as you mentioned, always looking to the future, which is why we're releasing a documentary right before the season.
Oh, that's about to come out.
When we were good.
Yeah, that's about to come out, and Jerry referred to that yesterday in his rambling monologue.
Yeah.
He's been watching some episodes of the new Netflix documentary that's coming out on the Cowboys, and it's going to take you back to when it was great.
Yeah, and if you remember when
you weren't born.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And Luke, our intern, wasn't born.
Any of the things that you see on the screen, just remember that means you are pretty much at least 40, which isn't old, but it's older than us.
All right, let's take you through some of the lowlights of yesterday. 512-834-1027. He is still the owner. He is still the general manager.
Yes.
And he is 82 years old. And he's getting crankier by the day, it feels like, and more rambly. Is it fair to say, and you folks can weigh in with me, maybe you like this, at 512-834-1027, that this training camp press conference they do every year, they sit at a table, the assembled media, it's Jerry, Steven, and whoever the coach is. Now it's Brian Schottenheimer. Mike McCarthy was there for 4 or 5 years, Jason Garrett for a decade. And Jerry rambles and holds court as it pertains to his vision and the state of the Cowboys. Steven sits there and kind of plays the Ed McMahon role, right? Ever see Johnny Carson? I'm dating myself. When he kind of laughs and guffaws and ha and redirects his 82-year-old dad from time to time. And then, Brian Schottenheimer will be asked a question or two. And here it was yesterday in the middle of the whole circus. Jerry Jones decided to because this was all centering around why haven't you signed Micah Parsons to a new contract? Why is this deal lingering? TJ Watt just got a new deal. And he just randomly decided to take a shot at Micah Parsons, or at least a veiled shot at his two best players, Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons. And let's see if we can fire it up, Jack, and hear Jerry Jones yesterday from Oxnard, California.
Just because we signed him doesn't mean we're going to have him. He was hurt 6 games last year. Seriously. We've
4,
signed,
actually.
I remember signing a player for the highest paid at the position in the league, and he got knocked out 2/3 of the year, Dak Prescott. So there's a lot of things you can think about when you, just as the player does, when you're thinking about committing and guaranteeing money.
All right. So it's good that he said, I remember signing a player to make him the highest paid player in the league. And that's a good thing he remembers it because it was just last year. It wasn't even a year ago when that deal got done, and Dak Prescott had to wait for his contract, and he built all the leverage because Dak was willing to play chicken and take it all the way to the end. And remember, if Dak hadn't signed that contract the day before they played, or the morning of their game with the Cleveland Browns last September that opened their season, he would have been a free agent this past offseason, and there's nothing the Cowboys could have done about it, and he would have had a pretty strong market. But Jerry Jones, taking a shot, essentially saying, yeah, we signed him, but then they got hurt. I mean, but Micah Parsons missed 4 games, not 6, Jerry. But, of course, I don't know if you saw this, Jack, but the comment that you just heard immediately went viral on social media.
Yep.
And not long after that, the Houston Texans former great J.J. Watt weighed in and said on a tweet, anytime you can publicly take a dig at your star quarterback and your star pass rusher simultaneously right before the season begins, you just got to take it. Nothing makes guys want to fight for you more than hearing how upset you are that they got hurt fighting for you.
Yeah.
Because injuries happen. That's not a reason not to sign a guy. Injuries do happen in pro football. It's a violent sport. They were fighting for it, and what Jerry pulls the hamstring off the bone in Dak's case, and Micah Parsons had an ankle injury. He's still produced and played pretty well. And it's not long after J.J. Watt tweeted what he tweeted. We just read it for you. Micah Parsons retweeted J.J. Watt's tweet in support of that comment. So there you go. Then, how about this one? Jerry was pressed about, and the question about why did they, because this is a fair question, right, Jack? Why did you get ahead of the contracts on cornerback Trevon Diggs and Terence Steele? Remember, there was a moment where Jerry and Steven were like, oh, let's get ahead of these contracts. That might save us some money, before they have to be done. Because if you're outperforming your rookie contract, this is how this works in the NFL. There's now a rookie salary system that's been put in place for quite a while now. And if a rookie is outperforming his rookie deal and you feel like he's a long-term piece of your team, despite the fact that he has a contract that's the rookie deal, you can fire him up and escalate and go ahead and jump on it and say this is going to be one of our core guys, which most of the smart teams in the league do, in my opinion. And the Cowboys did it with Trevon Diggs and Terence Steele and got them locked. And here's what Jerry Jones had to say about that yesterday.
Well, you kind of wait for it a little bit. You've done deals, though, early with Trevon Diggs, with Terence Steele before it was time for it. What's the difference between those situations and a situation like CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons?
Frankly, should we have waited on Diggs and Steele?
That's too good. So he's taking a shot at them, basically saying, yeah, we should have done that. That was dumb. Terence Steele has been a bum since we signed him.
Yeah.
And Trevon Diggs is hurt. We just had to find him because he's working out in Florida, not with us. Yeah, we probably shouldn't have done that.
It is funny to the like you took the wrong lesson from it. It's Trevon Diggs and Terence Steele may be bad examples of giving out good contracts, but at least you got them done early. You would have had to pay them more after the fact if you hadn't gotten them done that early.
In Jerry's mind, let him finish his comment.
Please.
Oh, you brought him up. I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is the willingness.
Okay, so there you go. There's Steven jumping in to help his dad, give him a rope. But yes, it's too good. Yeah, we should have signed those guys. And so now we're going to make everybody wait. And then let me give you some other, because I watched this whole thing yesterday, and he rambled through it. The word salad is like people like to say these days. And so he says he's not sure why having a contract doesn't matter anymore. Like, with Micah Parsons under contract, y'all. He's playing into the 4th year of his rookie deal. Points out the obvious that he's got that year, and the Cowboys could actually franchise tag him after this season if they wanted to. And he essentially said, why would you sign somebody and guarantee them big dollars until we absolutely have to? Like, we didn't have to sign Dak Prescott to that contract until we absolutely had to, and that was the last day. Same with CeeDee Lamb last August into September. How about this, though? When asked about the price tag going up, Jerry Jones said he actually said this. He remembers when a Buick cost $5,000.
Okay.
And now they cost $50,000, and they can still break down. He said this.
I don't see how that's relevant, Jerry.
It's not. When asked if he's talked to Micah Parsons' agent, David Mulligetta, who, if you go back to March at the Combine, when Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones talked for 10, 15 minutes, both sides came out and said, yeah, we've got all the parameters of a deal in place. And all Micah Parsons said was call David. Call and get this thing done. Well, here we are on July the 22nd, or whatever the date is today, and he still has not called David Mulligetta. It still has not happened, nor has Stephen Jones called David Mulligetta, and it doesn't feel like they want to get this deal done, because Micah Parsons has said just recently on the Undertaker podcast, or the podcast with The Undertaker, here we are in July, and it's lack of communication. They still have not called my agent. Then Jerry went down memory lane, recalled when Emmitt Smith held out into the regular season back in the early 90s, came back and they won this. It's almost like Jerry Jones can't tell the difference between last September, because he just said about Dak Prescott, well, I remember when we signed a player, and then he goes, well, I remember when Emmitt Smith held out for 2 games, because people asked about Micah holding out potentially. And he's like, well, maybe he will. It's like, okay, that was 30-plus years ago, or 35 years ago, and this was last year. But they don't really... Yeah, I remember when a Buick was $5,000, and now it's $50,000. But these are all things we all know this. But he's still the general manager and is not very good at it, and 30 years of history has proven it.
Yeah, and to me, it's one thing if you want to push the Micah extension all the way to next season like that. I think it's a bad idea, but you could do that. But pushing it from March to August or March to September, that just doesn't make sense.
No, it
you're
doesn't.
Driving up the price tag for what is the same period. It's the same offseason.
Yes.
If you want to wait until next offseason, that's one thing you could do, and I would disagree with it. But waiting a couple of months, that's only going to drive the price up.
And it has, because you've had 4 different contracts signed since March. None of it makes...
Shouldn't have waited for T.J. Watt to sign that deal.
I think sometimes we get bogged down on, because I do too, where we're just talking about 1 or 2 lines that he says, because it is kind of comical. But the point of fact, he's a bad general manager.
Yeah.
It's why I promised in the late 90s I'd walk to Dallas if they won a Super Bowl with him as general manager. This is why. It was obvious. Jimmy Johnson built those teams. He was the general manager and had final say on football. Jerry tried to take it away from him, and Jimmy walked. And here we are with 3 decades of evidence that he's not good at this. He's capable, I guess, because anybody could do it, but he's not capable of building a championship-level roster, maintaining that championship-level roster. It's fair to say, Jack, since 1995 when they last appeared in the conference finals, he's never drafted a player as good as the players Jimmy Johnson drafted in about 5 years. He's never drafted a quarterback as good as Troy Aikman, and yes, they had the number 1 pick, and that helps, but he's never drafted an Emmitt Smith. There's been some pretty good running backs in there. Zeke Elliott was a good player. Yeah. But the other thing that Jimmy Johnson did was not just draft the star players. He drafted the role players who became stars and became champions.
Yeah.
That's why you don't let that guy walk out the door. But it's back to the old ego nonsense and Jerry, and it's really frustrating to be a Cowboys fan if you are one, without a doubt, because you're 30 years into this, and the owner is getting more and more senile and doesn't care.
Yeah, and to your point with Jerry, it's not only wasn't as great to begin with, it's gotten worse. I mean, at least in the past, you were finding a Dak Prescott in the 4th round. If that's your franchise quarterback, that's tremendous work.
Well, you can
now
tell.
He's trading his 4th-round pick for Trey Lance.
Well, now he's old, right? He's 82, 81 years old, and to me, old people get old. We got president and the previous president, they get old. It felt like, I go back to the year when they lost to the Packers in January in the playoffs, got blown off the field, and Jerry was furious. And he was furious at the team the entire offseason, right? And he took out his anger because he's the owner, and he has every right to be angry because he signs all the checks, and he's the guy, but he also is the general manager. That's why you have separate those powers, because the general manager shouldn't be angry at the roster, shouldn't be angry at players. He's got to build a roster and do the right things by the roster. But when they're the same person, this is what happens. And now, if you listen yesterday, Jack, and I watched the whole thing from Oxnard, he's mad, like literally as an old grandpa, he's mad that he signed Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons and they got hurt. Like, he's mad about it. Like, well, we just signed him. He's the highest paid player, then he got hurt. You know, what do you want me to do about that? This is bad. This is why you separate church and state. You don't have an owner who runs the roster. That doesn't make any sense. It didn't make sense in 1995. It doesn't make sense now, but it's not going to change. One other to wrap up, Jerry. Here's after the press conference. They did a little media scrum off to the side, little sidebar thing, and it was Clarence Hill, a longtime beat reporter for the Cowboys, pressing Jerry on why haven't you called his agent? I mean, have you called David Mulligetta, who's based here in Austin? Here we go.
Doesn't necessarily. This is, first of all, not that you're saying it, but this is not negative at all. I'll say it.
Mike
this is just not negative.
Just from a practical matter and how you guys do business. Steven hasn't talked to Mulligetta. You haven't talked to Mulligetta. Mike asked you guys to talk to Mulligetta. Why have the two top principals, and certainly Steven said you don't talk to agents, but why have neither one of y'all talked to Mulligetta?
I'm really not going to get into responding to what Micah said, I said, or he said, or Mulligetta said, or what Steve said. I'm not getting into any of that. Okay. At all. And we're where we are, and I signed the check.
There we go. We're where we are, and I signed the check. And Metagetta, I like that, Jack. Metagetta. Didn't get the guy's name right. Metagetta.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit of news there from Clarence Hill, because I know Clarence knows David Mulligetta. We all, and so at the press conference, Jerry Jones says, I don't talk to agents. I never talk to agents. And then somebody pressed him and said, well, you got Dak signed and you talked to Todd France. And Steven jumped in and said, well, no, he never talked to Todd France. I talked to Todd France. Todd France is Dak's agent. So maybe it's true that Jerry, but it's all, can we all agree it's a bad policy that your general manager doesn't talk to agents?
Yeah.
Doesn't know their names?
It seems like you're trying to manipulate your players.
Yeah. And the players don't like it.
Yeah, it's like
Dak didn't like it.
It's coercion, basically.
It's silly.
Yeah.
It's bad business. But again, this is, 30 years of frustration kind of bubbling over yesterday, and it's all to see. And, there could be some optimism with the Cowboys. They can win 8 or 9 games. They're not going to beat the Eagles. They're not, one of the 4 best teams in the NFC right now, which means they're not going to play in the Final 4, which was the Final 2. And they're certainly not going to the Super Bowl, and this is just prolonging. Meanwhile, the profits rake in. They're the most profitable team in all of pro sports. And here we go. Welcome to another year of Cowboys fandom.
Yeah, exactly. Because just that last thing you said there was what I was thinking of. And it's been a pretty good offseason. It's been quiet. They drafted well. Brian Schottenheimer's
because Jerry
been good
wasn't
in the press
angry
conference.
this year.
Exactly.
He was angry that the guys he signed got hurt, clearly, and he's still talking about it. But they
then
actually
the moment.
because remember, when they lost to the Packers, he made no moves.
Yeah.
He was just pissed at everybody. And then he was getting sued by his illegitimate daughter and had to deal with all that and lawsuits. And
that happens.
That happens, and he's got to pay her off and that whole thing in Arkansas. And golly. I mean, Jerry was just mad that offseason.
Yeah.
This offseason, he's you can just hear it. He's mad that he signed Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb, then Dak got hurt. I mean, what do you want me to do?
But you see what I'm saying? Like the Micah Parsons thing, that's been looming, but everything else has been quiet. It's been normal. It was a meat and potatoes draft. And then the moment Jerry can get in front of the microphone, he brings the circus back. It's a sideshow once again.
Yeah, and takes a veiled shot at Dak and Micah.
At everybody.
So it's
all 4 of
this
the
is what
guys
happens when you. Well, you know what? UL spoke yesterday was 89-year-old Mike Brown, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals.
That was also good.
And who also basically said, well, we haven't signed Shamar Stewart, our first-round draft pick, because we don't want to pay players that are sitting in jail, which he's not saying he's going to. We're trying to take the bonuses out. If you get in trouble off the field, essentially, the Bengals owner is saying, if you get in trouble off the field, we don't want to be guaranteed to pay you, which is fair, but you're using Shamar Stewart as your guinea pig on this. No one ever has had this in their contract, and he doesn't want to be the first. But again, when you have 82-year-old owners and 89-year-old owners talking, it usually doesn't go very good. Just going to say, hire a general manager who speaks for the team. I don't know. It's you can talk till your cowboy blue in the face about it. It's just frustrating, and here we go.